Hi, and welcome to another episode of Get Your Chat On with GYC Vegas, recorded and produced at the Video Podcast Studio. I'm your host, Gina Yager, founder and director of GYC Vegas, an award-winning PR and marketing agency. We believe every company has a story to tell, and we're passionate about getting businesses recognized. At Get Your Chat On, we sit down with local professionals to get to know a little about their organization, their role, and their perspective on our vibrant business community here in Southern Nevada. On today's episode, we're chatting with Tara Campbell, Chief Operating Officer at GBank, a Las Vegas-based community bank with a national footprint. With more than 25 years of experience in banking and financial services, Tara is responsible for core operational leadership, payment operations, and cross-functional execution across the organization. She focuses on operational effectiveness, enterprise change initiatives, and ensuring day-to-day operations scale reliably, all while staying actively involved in the community engagement efforts that support local businesses, nonprofit organizations, and leadership development across the Las Vegas region. Hi, Tara. Welcome, and thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Awesome. Well, tell us more about GBank and your role there as Chief Operating Officer.
Absolutely. So GBank is a local bank formed in Las Vegas here 18 years ago, so 2007. And we primarily support commercial businesses in the Valley, but we have some national portfolio opportunities as well. So we do a lot of things. I'm primarily responsible for the business here in Las Vegas. So I manage the teams here on the ground, service, operations, commercial banking. And then I also run some of our payment operations and a little bit of our back house.
I'd love to hear about, more than 25 years of experience in banking and financial services. What drew you to this industry and what's kept you engaged and growing throughout your career?
So I will tell you, I got in this industry completely by accident, and I'm going to age myself a little bit. So what happened is I was 19 and I answered this thing that we used to call a classified ad.
Right.
And so I made a phone call. I called this lender. I was living in Dallas at the time. I'm from Texas. And there was a lender downtown that was putting out an ad for a lending assistant, and it sounded like something I could do. I was 19, needed a job, so I went down and interviewed and got it, and that was a small business lender. So essentially it wasn't a bank, but we got into the lending side through that job, and then it turns out I was pretty good at it. It takes a lot of service, and really liked helping people and organizations, something I do pretty well. And so it's just continued to progress from there. Somehow I went from a lending assistant and a non-bank lender to, managing a 40-person team of all the bank operations. But I've been through maybe 6 or 7 employers in that time, and I've worked everywhere from where we are now, which is about $1 billion bank, but I did some time at Goldman Sachs, which we know is huge, and some other big banks, and I just, take all those experiences and bring them with me. I think community banking has been my favorite place. I've landed there in the last few years, and I just really love the service aspect of it. I love being able to support small business, support the community with financial services, and I love working with my teams.
I love that you love community banking. It's so interesting to me. GBank is described as Las Vegas-based community bank with a national footprint. So how does GBank balance being deeply rooted in the Las Vegas community while also serving, customers across the country?
It is really, it is the biggest challenge of my job, I'll be honest. We started this bank in 2000, I say we because I'm in there now, but I obviously went there at the beginning. But the bank was started in 2007, meant to support businesses in Las Vegas. That was the point of the bank. It started out as a commercial bank. And obviously what happened in 2008, through the Great Recession, there's a lot.
Great time to start a bank, right?
Great time to start a bank. If we only had a crystal ball at the time. And I think what the realization coming out of that, and the bank ended up going through like a 6-year de novo period, which is usually a 3-year period for banks, but they really clawed their way back to stay relevant and open, and realized that Las Vegas, while a vibrant and talented community, diversity would be important, much like Las Vegas has done, right? We've looked around and we've said, hey, hospitality is great. Guess what? Can't be the only thing. We got to have some other stuff. So the bank decided to diversify, the income streams in the portfolio, and we ended up becoming an SBA lender. So we are a preferred lender for SBA loans, and we do that nationally. So we have lenders out in, I think I want to say we're in about 22 states now, and then we've lent money in 42 states. So that we're a big portfolio there. We're actually top 10 to 12 in the nation by volume for SBA lending. So it's a big portfolio for us.
Yeah.
And then another thing that came out of that was we started to develop a payments function, sort of an account structure to support online gaming operators and mobile wallet providers. So what that looks like is, those opportunities where an operator is holding consumer funds and needs that regulatory environment and structure to protect the consumer funds and to kind of make sure the liability is not on their balance sheet. So we have an account structure that supports that, and so we do that with a lot of national online gaming operators.
Oh, that's amazing. As COO, what does operational excellence mean to you?
What is operational excellence? I think for me, the easy answer would be outcomes, right? If you are really in operational excellence, then your outcomes are good. They're quick, they're efficient, they're cost effective. But for me, I think operational excellence is more about how your team feels doing their job. If I can go to my teammates and my coworkers and they are happy, they feel supported, they feel like they have everything they need to do their job, there's no barriers to them completing their job, then I think that's what operational excellence is. I've been in a lot of different scenarios with employees that work under me, and there's, especially the larger an organization gets, there's a lot of frustration around like, every Monday I can't log into my computer, or or every time I try to do this thing, the system is down, or I want to get this done, but I always have to do these workarounds to complete it. And so for me, those are the pain points, right? And yes, when I eliminate those barriers and I move those pain points away, the client wins, but if my employee wins, that's bigger for me. So if my employees are like, no, I have everything I need, it's a seamless process, I rarely have to stop and ask questions, I feel confident about my job, then we're doing it right.
Yeah. The employees are happy, it funnels down to the customer.
That's right.
Let's talk about enterprise change. So what are some of the biggest challenges driving change in banking, and how do you balance that innovation with compliance and risk management?
Yeah. The biggest challenge, I think, there's so many things happening in banking right now. We could do a whole podcast on that. It would be very boring, I assure you, for anybody except for bankers, right? I think the biggest thing, if I really boil it down, is that banking is a centuries-old industry, been around a long time. And some of the regulations are also centuries old, just to be clear.
Wow.
But those systems and that regulation is not keeping pace with what people expect out of their financial services. And so it's led to a lot of innovation outside of the banking realm. We've seen this explosion of fintech. That's a word we weren't even saying 15 years ago, and so we've seen this giant explosion of companies that have come in and provided financial services outside of the banking realm. And it has put a lot of pressure on us as bankers to be like, okay, we're losing market share here. There is value in our system, but we've got to figure out how to shift and stay relevant. And that has been a huge push, especially, even in the last 5 years for me, I've seen it, especially in community banking. The big banks, they have a lot of resources. They got a lot of money. They can buy those fintechs, right? They can bring that in-house. And so they are able to move a little faster. They own the payment rails that have been invented in the last 5 years, or 6 years. But community banks, we are still sort of moving at the speed of our technology partners. And so I see it a lot. There's a lot of push for innovation. It used to be that the challenge was nobody wanted to innovate. Everybody was kind of like, this is the way we've always done it. They'll come back. And I think we've kind of come over that a little bit. I think bankers know, and especially community banks know, like, we've got to stay relevant. We've got to meet our clients where they are. How do we get in on some of this? But I think the challenge has been, how do we do it cost effectively, and how do we do it without putting ourselves in regulatory harm. So there's just some constraints there. And then as always, like change is hard. So you are still sort of coaxing people into the new ideas. They're like, well, we can't do that because of this. You're like, well, actually, if we do it like this, we can, so there's a little bit of that too. But I think more than anything, especially for banks my size and especially banks smaller, it's really about finding a way to be agile and flexible with the right partners at the right budget, and putting the right pieces together.
Right. Working for a smaller bank too, I'm sure there's a lot of benefits to where decisions can be made quicker than,
Correct.
In a larger setting.
Yes.
Yeah.
We do have the benefit of that, right? So, the big guys are probably going through a lot more of decision making. So that is the nice thing. And it's also a double-edged sword because you're like, yeah, let's do that. And so you're failing at a lot of things as opposed to like picking a thing and sticking with it. So there's a lot of mentality to it. So I love that. That's my favorite thing about community banking is that we get to be at the forefront of those decisions. We get to have a say in strategy. We get to decide, who we are and how we're going to do it. It's a beautiful thing. And it is a benefit as we're moving into innovative things because we all sort of get on the same page and then we just move fast.
So payments innovation, speaking of, evolution in banking, it's moving so rapidly. What changes are you seeing in how businesses and consumers want to move money and how is GBank adapting to that?
Payments innovation, another whole podcast episode by itself.
Quick version.
Yeah. And it is two separate things. If I just talk about consumers, what we're seeing is cashless, like digitization. Consumers don't want to have to pull their card out. They don't want to have to make sure they've got something on them, right? They just want to be able to do everything on their phone. And that looks easy, reads hard. Like it looks like, oh, everybody's cashless. Actually, that's not true. Like for those of us behind the scenes, that money is not quite as digital as you think. So, there's been a lot of innovation in that. We've also seen a lot from the real-time standpoint. Obviously, real-time payments started in, I want to say 2017. It's picked up quite a bit of speed. And then FedNow went live in 2023, I think. So now we've got instant payment rails. And I know that sounds like not a big deal, but it's actually a really big deal as a nerdy payments person because we've only had the 2-3 rails for like for the last 40 years. So we're seeing a lot of change there, but there's still some friction. Like I think we do a good job of making it look easy to the people on the outside.
Right.
But inside, we're still battling a lot of friction inside. So there's still a lot of work to be done. And then businesses are interesting. This is like, I see some new fast-moving businesses that want it to move just the way it moves for them personally, right? They're like, if I can do this as a consumer, why can't I do it as a business? And I do see friction there,
right?
Because business payments are a little bit more complex. And honestly, and this is my PSA for everybody listening to the podcast, consumer rights when it comes to payments are very heavy-handed on the consumer side.
Right.
And so like you send a payment accidentally, there's a pretty good chance you're going to get that back. The businesses are not as protected. And so businesses will complain a lot about the friction. And I'm like, that's in place often because your protections are not as solid on as they are on the consumer side. And so if a business accidentally sends a payment to the wrong person or there's a fraud or somebody, gave you the wrong instructions, getting that back is not guaranteed. And so that is why we still have some of that friction. However, we are working. There is a lot happening, especially in the fintech space. I hate to keep giving them a shout out, but there have been some good innovations in the fintech space around payments and AP that allow for faster movement, more seamless movement, and a compliant space so that you at least feel protected that your money got to the right place and you're not having an issue. But it's been slower than on the consumer side. And businesses, I think that's what I hear the most is, especially in like a small business where it's just one guy and he's like, why is it easy for me to do it in my personal account, but I can't do it in my business account? And I'm having that conversation a lot. Like, well, here's why. It's a little harder. But we are getting to a place where it's getting a little bit easier for those guys too.
Okay. Community engagement. GBank is so involved in the local community, supporting local businesses, nonprofits, leadership development. Why is this community work so important to you personally and to GBank?
I mean, personally, I really believe in the philosophy of a community bank, which is we are there to, yes, we're a business and we take those deposits in and we're there to facilitate for the community to allow them to have a safe place to put their money, handle their financial services, and be protected. But also those deposits get redeployed into the community, right, in the form of lending and investments. And that's just as important as, how we're showing up to provide service, is that we're also deploying that back and helping the community grow. And I have felt that way more being in smaller community banks than I did in the larger banks, right? It's just very much more faceless, I think, previously. And then when it comes to community engagement, that's just another part of it, right? How do we also show up as a good partner? We're not just the bank on the corner that we sit here and wait for you to come to us. We want to come out to you. We want to provide service to our partners and to our community around us and make sure that we're showing up and being a part of the community, because we are also a business in Las Vegas, right? We're not just a bank that provides service for businesses. We are a business that we are located here. We've grown here with you. And I think it's important that we not lose sight of that. And I talk to my clients about that a lot. Like, I know banks get a bad rap, but we're just here doing business with you guys just the same. And so we should all be at that table together talking about the community as a group.
We had the pleasure of working on a really cool project for you, fraud prevention for seniors, which was a really cool program. Talk a little bit about, not necessarily that, unless you want to add a little bit, but maybe some of the other programs, community programs or initiatives that you're working on.
Yeah. I mean, our biggest push this year, and it started, last fall with the fraud prevention education, is financial literacy. I think if you asked anybody how important it is to have financial literacy taught to kids, what's the word I'm looking for?
Maybe young adults too.
Young adults. I am looking for a word. I cannot find it. Communities that are at risk, right?
Yeah,
like communities
absolutely.
that don't have that access. It's important that we make sure everybody has that access. And so that's been a big push for us. We started with Fraud Bingo, which was essentially going into assisted living facilities, putting on a bingo game, but each letter we called was also a tidbit about how to avoid fraud scams. And, that is such a tender community for that. They just, they're behind on the technology. The urgency feels important to them. We've seen it happen over and over again. Personally, my grandfather was a victim of a really large fraud scam. And so it's very sensitive to me. So now we're also taking it into schools and into some youth programs. So last year we did some programs with Rise Homes, which they help support kids who've aged out of foster care and they're like getting job ready and finding housing. And so we did some financial literacy for them. And now we're going into some of the schools in the Valley that are tied to communities and schools and offering that literacy program there too. So I think for me, the reason it's so important is, I grew up with a lot of scarcity, and as an adult, what I've realized is half of that battle is just naming the thing, like just knowing what it is, like taking the shame out of it and just being like, hey, let's just sit down and look at what's coming in and what's going out, and let's just get really serious about it. Because if we can just not look away and like just learn a couple of easy tools, it is simple to start building on that and helping other people kind of understand like why your credit score is important. What are some small things you can do just to keep it maintained, right? I'm not asking anybody to figure out how to get rich overnight, but we have to start where we are. And so if we don't take that time to like teach our kids, teach our communities, like just those small skills, then you're going to get behind and then you're going to feel like you can never catch up. So how do we start where we are?
Yeah, I think that's so important for for everyone.
Everybody.
Because those conversations should start at home, but I feel like they're not. And I'm sure you see that on the banking side, that, kids don't know how to balance a checkbook. They don't understand. Before it's too late, you're in your 20s and then you're in debt. And you haven't learned, those how to budget and how to spend money wisely. And so,
Yeah, I feel like it's always been it's so weird that we don't talk about it, like even just in our families. And then now I think there's also a divide because it has changed so much. Like I don't even have a check register anymore, right? But
right.
like
no
when we
does.
started,
Yes.
we were doing it in our little check register. And now, so the parents are like, I don't really know how to teach you how to do, there's a divide there too, because the kids are like, well, I just do it on my phone. And their parents are like, I don't even know what you're talking about. So it's been good to kind of step in and just, bridge some of that gap.
Yeah, absolutely. Looking back on your career in financial services and banking, what advice would you give to somebody maybe starting out in your industry or just maybe starting out, period, the beginning of their career?
Okay. Well, the joke is that banking is like a cult. So if you start in banking, just buckle
You're going to be there forever.
You're probably going to be there for a really long time. That's kind of how it's worked out. I feel like I'm always joking around with we call ourselves lifers. Like there's just a bunch of us. And so we make jokes about it. But here's what I'll say about banking specific, and then I can give more general. But what's great about banking is there are so many different areas and jobs you can do in that industry. So people hear banker and they think sales guy, right? Somebody who's in the community trying to get you to bank with him or sell you a loan, or I say him because it's usually a him, but you know what I mean? It's a him or a her. And that's what you think. Or you think of some diabolical guy behind a desk just counting your money, right? It's unfortunate, but it's true. Stereotypes. But the truth is that banking has a ton of different pieces to it. So you could be in the branch. There's service. There's sales for sure. There's lending and underwriting. There's a lot of math there. But also we have our own IT team. So you could be in banking and be working on the IT side. We have our own HR and accounting. You can get into accounting or finance and do that inside banking. Now it's backwards in banking. So if you learn it in banking, you could do it anywhere. I'll tell you that. And then, but we also have marketing and engagement. So we've got that inside of banking. Some banks have their own coding and development teams. And so I just encourage people to understand, like, we use the term banking and it tends to be just like this one idea, but the truth is it's a ton of opportunity, a lot of different job options. And so I always encourage people to like focus more on what you want to do, like what feels good to you, like what kind of feeds you. Like I said, I accidentally got into it and here we are. But if you focus on what you enjoy and what you're really good at, that you could find a spot in banking to do just that. You don't have to fit yourself into something else, I guess is my advice. And maybe that's my advice in general. Like, instead of focusing on, I feel like I keep lumping you in like we're the same age. We might not be, but when I was a kid,
I'm older for sure.
There were like 5 jobs, right? It was like lawyer, teacher, doctor, engineer, banker, right? There was 5. And now the truth is like the possibilities are sort of limitless.
Right.
And so I think there's a lot of value. We all tried to pick a thing and then fit ourselves into it. I think there's a lot of value into like, figure out what you're good at and then go do that somewhere. And it might be any industry you like. That's not the specific piece to worry about.
Right. It's the role itself.
Correct.
So I'm sure you do a lot of networking. I know you know a lot of people in town, and I see GBank people, your team, out and about while I'm networking.
Good.
So I have this Mad Lib style fill in the blank. You just tell me what comes to your mind.
Okay.
When doing business in Las Vegas, it's essential to have a solid strategy for...
When doing business, it's to have a solid strategy for. Oh gosh, I'm not good at Mad Libs. Apparently, let me think about this for 5 seconds.
Oftentimes, people say community or
relationships. I was going to say connection.
Yeah,
like
connection.
You need to have a strategy for connection, because the truth is, is if you meet one person, it's really helpful to be able to go like, oh, hey, I know this person, or to go, you should know this person. So yeah, I'll say connection.
I've noticed a lot of the bankers are great that I know are great connectors.
Yes.
One thing every new transplant should know before doing business in Las Vegas is to never underestimate the power of
who you know. Who you know is very important in Las Vegas. And also, we talked about this a little bit before, but I'm a recent transplant, like 3 years. So I came in, and what I figured out is that I would always ask for introductions, and people are always willing to meet with me, and then I would meet with them, and then I would ask for more introductions. So it really does become about just meeting everybody that you possibly can.
Absolutely. Yeah. And speaking of meeting up with someone, when it comes to connecting over with a business contact over drinks or coffee, lunch, you can't go wrong with.
Oh, I love a coffee meeting at Mothership. It's my favorite.
Yes, me too. Great lavender latte. The best way to unwind after a long day of business meetings in Las Vegas is to indulge in some what to recharge for the next day.
That is girl talk over dinner.
Oh, that sounds nice.
With my friends.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. So we also do a fun lightning round of questions because, Tara is so much more than just a banker. What's deep down? So if you could teleport anywhere in the world right now, where would you go and why?
I would go to Greece. It's my number one bucket list item. And if I could just do it in 5 seconds, I would 100% just go there.
Just transport.
Yep.
If you had a superpower, what would it be and how would you use it?
My superpower would be the ability to show people, for people to see themselves the way I see them.
Oh.
And I would use it to make sure that they knew how they were really viewed in the world.
That's really sweet. I love that. That's one of the nicest ones I've heard. Okay, lastly, what's the most adventurous thing you've done and would you do it again?
I had a season for about, I want to say it was 3 years. Yeah, I did about 3 years of obstacle course racing.
Ooh.
Yeah, this was like 10 years ago.
Like mud runner type stuff, Trojan.
Yeah, obstacles and burpees and mud runs. And so I did that for about 3 years. I got really into it for a minute. Again, that was 10 years ago. I might do one again, but I don't think I would do it as often as I did it. I would think I was running 1 or 2 a month.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that. I might do one a year.
Amazing muscles, I'm sure.
Yeah, those pictures are pretty good. I should bring some of those. Those are the best shape ever.
Nice. It's been really fun chatting with you today, understanding more about finance and banking. How can people understand or learn more about GBank and follow the bank and its work?
Oh, yeah. So we're on Instagram at GBankNV. You can go to our website, g.bank. There is no .com. It's g.bank.
G.bank.
Yes, g.bank. You can also come see us. So we've got 2 branches here in town, one at 215 in Russell and another one at Seven Hills down in Henderson. So we always love to have people come visit us and say hi. We're always available to chat. Even if you're not going to open an account that day, we'd love to talk to you. So come see us there. And then obviously we're on Facebook at GBank. And be sure you look for our logo out in town. We are out a lot. So come see us, say hi anytime you see us.
Nice. Thank you so much.
Of course.
Well, that's a wrap for today's episode. Be sure to follow us at GYC Vegas on Instagram, Facebook, X, and LinkedIn, and subscribe to our channel wherever you stream podcasts. And if you want to learn more about how your business can enhance its marketing efforts through the power of PR, visit our website at gycvegas.com. Thanks for listening to Get Your Chat On, and we'll see you next time.